Welcome to another episode of Nitty Gritty. We have our good friend Don Watkins with us today. Don, thank you for coming in the cold, nasty weather to come hang out with us.
Hey, from St. George.
Yeah.
I hang out in St. George in the winter. But you know what? For this podcast, for Andrew, for Cam, I'm here. I mean, I know you had to pay a lot of money to get me here, so.
Well, we got to make it worth it, right?
Okay, sounds good.
So, Don, I actually met you through my parents. So you guys have been good friends for a while now.
Yeah. Your mom's Sue, Tom, awesome. Great people, of course.
And from day one, my mom was always, okay, you got to get Don on the podcast. And so I'm happy that we finally made this happen. So thank you for being here.
Like I told you, I'm a little concerned. You said a lot of your demographic is women in business. And here I am, 5'7", bald, can't see, can't hear. But you know what? I still have something to tell them. So
it's going to be a good time.
We'll have a good time.
So, Don, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Okay, so I grew up in Centerville, Bountiful, till about 8th grade. Then my dad worked for IBM, moved to the Bay Area, 65. While you guys are all up in heaven messing around, and I'm up in third week in San Francisco, Palo Alto, Los Altos.
Okay.
Grew up in the Bay Area, and about third week out there, Dad took me up to San Francisco right when Haight-Ashbury was just firing up. Kids carrying mattresses across the street. I mean, so that's kind of where I grew up.
Okay. What did your dad do?
Dad was a doctor of educational psychology, worked for IBM, Western State Sales Manager.
Okay.
So
that was kind of his career out there then.
Yeah,
huh?
His career, we spent 1 year, my junior year, and moved to Chicago for a year and then back to the Bay Area.
Okay. And then after school, where did you end up going to school? What'd you do?
So I started out with at BYU.
Okay.
I think my ACT was like 10.
Is that good?
Yeah, that was good for me.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact,
I can't keep track of those scores. I don't know what they mean.
As a matter of fact, this is quite the entrepreneurial story. I think you ought to entitle it, If Don Can Do It, Anybody Can Do It. I remember being in 8th grade in Centerville Junior High. True story, no embellishment. If I embellish, I usually give you a hint. But most of mine are good enough. But so in 8th grade, Centerville Junior High, my dad, my older brother, had photographic memory, passed CPA exam first time, sister smart, younger brother smart. I'd come home with very average grades. And this doctor of educational psychology, he was sweet, kind, happy man. When I brought home my grades, it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. And so that's the only time you really get mad is when I'd come home with these grades. And finally, in 8th grade, I can remember being called down to the principal's office. True story. I go into a little room with a counselor that's going to give me an IQ test. True story. Tiny embellishment. I go home. My dad is no longer mad. He's just sad. So that's kind of that educational background. So really, I'm kind of, I know really there's kind of a classic ADD entrepreneur that lucked out big time. That's me. Because people that know me well, especially my older brother, go, he really isn't very smart. But somehow he figures it out and solves the problem and gets the right people on his team.
They're always smarter than we are always smarter than we think we are. We've just been told our whole life that we're dumb because our grades suck, right?
It's true. When did you are you actually diagnosed ADD?
No, not really diagnosed.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I have other interesting disorders besides that. And I do tell students, I've been volunteering at BYU or UVU or Dixie for 15 years, but I go, find out what your oddities are and turn them into something positive. And so I'm a little ADD, but I can be obsessive and I can focus. And when I do, so I'll be talking to the students at BYU or whatever, and I'll say, okay, guys, you got your ACTs at 30 and your IQs are up there and everything, but this little guy will probably beat you at solving a problem. And, they're kind of like, this guy's kind of got dementia already. But I'll tell you a story about that. I learned that I'm pretty good strategist.
Okay.
And I think that's something. I think that if I was to say something to young people is just don't limit yourself. You don't know what you're, right?
Right.
Very true.
You don't know what
Right.
all your gifts and talents are.
Well, and you don't know until you try and fail
Yeah,
and learn.
exactly.
Like you're
Yeah.
never gonna like study your talent and like all of a sudden
Yeah.
be good at it.
And even I probably taught it, but follow your passion. Oh, come on. You don't really even know what it is.
Right.
You don't know that gift, your talent. You just don't know it. So we kind of gotten away from that. I don't like young college students going, okay, well, I love art, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, we got to get into the mind and the pocketbook of the customer.
Yeah.
As opposed to your passion better align. Well, but early on, I kind of found out I had some talents and some gifts. And one of them was I had been recently married, and I was up to BYU, and my wife was a dental assistant. Second date. I mean, actually, it wasn't even a date. I go, do you mind asking if I ask? Well, I'm just at her apartment, actually. I go, do you mind me asking how much you make? And the next one was, I wonder, do you mind if I filled out a budget and see if we could live off it?
That's what you.
I mean, I can't. This girl I married, she's 46 years. She's a dream. She's golden looks. She's everything, and she can't believe she actually married me after all my dumb things I said. But anyway, I'm at BYU. She's working. I'm BYU, not being the best student, of course. And all of a sudden, we go over to where I got to have a job. I look on the BYU board. There's a garbage man job there. I like being outside. I don't like being in classrooms. So I get a job there, and I'm working there a couple of weeks. We go down and visit her grandma in Provo, and she says, Dawn, my granddaughter here is working. What do you do? I go, I go to school. She goes, you're not working? I go, no, I work. Oh, no. That's when it hit me and my wife. I'm a garbage man to my so okay.
Waste
Sure.
management.
What?
Waste management.
Well, sanitation
Right?
engineer,
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
Sanitation.
But here was kind of so my wife, I could tell Peggy when we came out of there, she was like, oh, I am supporting you, and you got a job as a garbage man. And I go, honey, you know what? I'm going to be a hospital administrator. I'm not good in science or, in zoology and biology, but chemistry, but I like people and I like medicine. I'm going to be a hospital administrator. So key word, of course, networking. Somehow I knew about that.
Right.
Kind of a schmoozer. So I find out the administrator, I don't know if you ever heard of Mark Howard. Okay, he was the administrator when it was a small hospital. And he also refereed college football.
Oh, wow.
Mark Howard, great guy. Lives out in Linden. Terrific guy. So I called him up, said, hey, I want to be a hospital administrator. Can I come down and meet with you? Network. Went down, met with him for half an hour, learned all about it, said, that's what I want for me. Now, the second part of network.
Hold on, I have to ask, how did you know how to network at this point? Like where did that come from?
You know what? All of that was just kind of natural.
Okay.
Because I'm going, hey, I got to get it. I want to learn about it. I was sincere. I really wanted to know if I wanted to be one. So I was sincere, and I thought, who better than the administrator? Number two, I needed a better job than a garbage man. So I want to work at the hospital. So I go down, meet with Mark for a half hour. Awesome, very kind.
So it's not that you were like networking. You
No.
just knew it was these people you realized like the people you needed or wanted to get to know.
Yeah, and it seemed kind of common sense to me. Now we teach it, a little bit more and how you can do that, how you can network but it was just natural. It wasn't any scientific on my side.
Right.
And BYU didn't have an entrepreneurial program at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, went down, Mark, and then I wanted a job. So I said, can I get a job here? He goes, yeah, go down to HR. Well, so little embellishment. So I'm walking, I'm walking down the hall and I'm going slow because I know he's seeing this guy is young, passionate, could be good with people, likes medicine, but not a doctor. He'll get hired. So I walk in there, walk into the HR, say, hey, Don Watkins, course, drop a little bit. I've been talking to Mark Howard, the administrator, had a good chat for a half an hour. Again, this is low IQ, but not bad IQ on some other angles.
Yeah.
So she goes, you know what? What can you do? I go, I don't know. Certainly don't want to haul the garbage and just lie again. So she goes, well, we have 8 positions for orderlies. And they're all done by pre-med students at Brigham Young University, so they can put it on their resume. So, we don't, and there's probably 50 applicants. So there's no jobs here. So that's where I benefit. Because where a lot of people see roadblocks, I go, perfect. So I go home, I obsess, I don't sleep for 2 nights. That's a sickness at times.
That is ADHD.
Yeah, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go.
It's called the wormhole. It is the wormhole.
Oh man, I like that.
Yeah. Hyper focus.
Yeah, I focus. My brother and my wife. Don't bug him right now. He's in his world. You know what I mean, Cam? So anyway, I focus and I brainstorm and I obsess. I walk into the hospital 3 days later. And back then, guys, there was what we called pink ladies. There was older ladies that were volunteers that would sit there and they'd help you find a room. I walked up to them. I said, hi, sisters, I'd like to be a pink lady. And they go, oh, he's cute. That's cute. I go, no, seriously, I'd like to be a pink lady. Is there anything I could do? They go, yeah, you can deliver the flowers. Perfect. I'll deliver the flowers. 3rd day of delivering the flowers to Mrs. Butler in the operating room, she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm a young, passionate young man, hard worker. I like people, and I want to be a hospital administrator. And I'm going to volunteer here until someone can hire me. She goes, you're hired.
Wow.
I worked there for a year and a half, $2.37. Worked my way up to surgery prep.
So what did you find in your research that led you to believe that was going to be the right path?
You know what, Andrew, just common sense for me. In other words, and I've taught this a lot to students, I go, you know what? The best advice I think I could give any students would be find out what your gifts and talents are, get some good experience, find out what you really want to do, find out where you want to work, and go there and say you want to work for free. Take that risk away from them.
Right.
If you're great. So I had an MBA student come to me years later and said, took your class, Don. I heard you say that. I'm an industrial design product guy. I'll work for free. Crap. He turned out being awesome.
How many students have done that to you?
Not I. That's the one I stand out. But
Yeah.
I've certainly had my sons. I've had some children, and other people come and say it sure worked great for them.
Okay.
But working for me, that was the one that kind of stood out.
Sure. So you go through the hospital. Then what happens next?
Well, we go through the hospital, and again, school's kind of tough. I'm making $237, and someone says you ought to sell some real estate. So I go, well, that sounds fun. So I got a job up at Quail Valley Realty. It's up above Timpview High. It used to be when they developed those hillsides. Mm-hmm. So I went up there. We had a trailer up there, and I got a job, and I worked 3 weeks. I was just doing working at the hospital summer, doing some summer school work. Nobody's coming in. Finally, Robert Driggs ended up becoming a vice president at BYU. Walked in, went over and sold him a townhome, $1,700 commission. That's for me. I ended up...
That's a lot of 237 hours.
Yeah, but started doing real estate, and then all of a sudden I was selling lots up there. And you know what? It was kind of like now. Who couldn't make money in real estate right now? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so all of a sudden I'm 27, 28 going, hey, 30. Now who... Be 30 and be a millionaire now is like being worth $1,000 now.
It's true.
I mean, back then it was a big deal. So
Yeah.
I thought, oh man, I'm on my way here. And I'm really good at listening. Believe it or not, I'm talking my head off, but I'm really good at listening what the customer wants. I'm really good at that. And so when people...
Why?
Because I could make more money. Remember I said, key is getting in the pocketbook and the mind of the customer. But I want to please them.
Yeah.
I want to thrill them.
Yeah.
I want to exceed their expectations. And so in real estate, they'd come up and I'd find the best lots that were left and I'd sell them a lot. I had a fellow, I have had terrific mentors, and I pay attention to them. And I had not Bill Critchfield, I'll tell you about Bill Critchfield, but Carl Spurrell from Lake Arrowhead, California, come up. He bought 2 lots from me. And he goes, guess what? You're going to build the spec homes. I go, I'm an orderly. I go, he goes, no, I got the house plans. Here's how you do it. You're going to get a framer that has a contractor's license. I can tell you, learn pretty quick. We'll line up a sub list and you'll be able to build a home. And long story short, I got really good at that. We built a lot of nice homes up there. I joined with a fellow, Bill Critchfield. I'm not sure if Bill's still around. I'm one of Donnie Osmond's homes he bought from us up on Sherwood Hills.
Wow.
I don't think he knows I built it, but but he knows his friend Bill. And so we built a lot of homes, killing it. I started my own real estate company up there on Edgemont, where there's a pharmacy called Liberty Real Estate Construction. My brother, that was a controller in San Francisco, 6 years older, photographic memory. Tell people I'm not that smart. Asked if he can come back and go into business. So we start building a lot of homes, spec homes, sold real estate, started to do I built a home out in Alpine, and got one more big development to do out in Bountiful, Sunset Hills. My dad comes to me. He hadn't bugged me much about the educational problems ever since when he found out I wasn't that smart. And he was a terrific father, but he came to me and he said, son, you're a good father. You're a good husband. You're a good Deacon's Quorum advisor, and you got way too much debt. I said, oh, Dad, you're living in the 40s, pal. You're living in the Depression. I go, one more big deal, and I'll have that 3 mortgages on that big house paid off. I'll pay off my boat. I didn't have more than one boat. Pay off. Yeah, I had 5 cruisers. No. I had one boat. I'll pay it all off, and I'll still have $500,000 worth of liquidity to invest, and I won't do so much debt. 2 years later, interest rates 22% short term. Mortgage rates 14, 15. All our development stopped. I was very blessed to sell that home with 3 mortgages and then to not go bankrupt, but have nothing and move into a rental with 4 kids at 30 years of age. I'm 30 years of age, 4 kids. And that rental stunk of cat urine.
Wow.
That's
I married a woman that I went to her because a couple of her old boyfriends are studs now, making millions. Here we got nothing. That's why I say, you entrepreneurial women or men, whatever, be patient, be open. So I go to her and I go, looks like you married a loser. She says, I'm not worried about you. We'll be fine. See, her dad was her dad was a social worker.
Right.
Awesome man. Money was nice, but it didn't really matter to her.
Wow.
So then I'm just doing all the talking like crazy.
Well, you're the guest. This is awesome. So, I mean, you had built this unbelievable empire.
It was no empire, but it was a good real estate company.
Pretty good.
I like that it started as a pink lady.
Or a garbage man.
Right? I mean, I still like the pink lady better than the garbage man. Because, that's kind of a typical college kid type job,
Yeah.
But this is it's so funny how, so I talk about ADHD a lot. I read about it a lot. I'm diagnosed with it. But one of my buddies wrote a book he's a motivational speaker, and he titles his book CEOs or Convicts. And it's just kind of like one or the other. And it's so funny how you can just see with such an active mind how it could go the other way without direction. But the problem solving thing, it's funny how you don't realize how smart that is until years down the road. Like going in and asking to be a pink lady, it's just like,
to your point, it's common sense to you, not to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky that way. I rip on myself IQ because really my reading comprehension, I can read anything.
Well, that's 'cause you're
Yesterday, I don't remember it today.
Right.
It was good. It felt good.
Has anybody really never talked to you about actually having ADHD? You would be like the king of this. Like, it's the greatest story, because like you would have been great at reading comprehension if you were interested in it, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
It's funny, like
Those 2 days that you were reading and studying to become a pink lady, you remembered that
I
stuff.
wasn't reading and studying.
see,
I was thinking. What next? What's next? I wasn't reading and studying, bud. Sorry, try as you will. But it's interesting, Cam, with you,
right,
that you're very focused on this business.
right,
So sometimes you get labeled ADD. You can't sit still. You can't do anything. And obviously, this is a very
If
successful business.
you're interested in it, nobody will do
Yeah.
do it,
It
better
becomes a
than you.
superpower.
Yeah.
And it really is. Even like memory, that's a totally well documented thing, that people with ADHD just have horrible memories. It's just a part of the brain that just doesn't
Yeah.
work. But it's great because if I really like a Netflix series, I can watch it a year later and it'll be brand new again.
You know what? Hey, I can top that one. My grandkids, boys or girls, they're all bud.
Yeah.
But this gives hope to you folks. If you got a high IQ and you're a top chemist or whatever, hallelujah.
For
you
sure.
got it. But if you don't have that gift, you might have some others. And that, and you got to watch
can't-
for them.
It doesn't matter if you can hustle and work, and that's the other thing, is we don't assess risk like other people do. So we just see what we want, and there's no like, yeah, I'm going to be a pink lady. Like, why wouldn't I do that? I want to be a hospital. But it just was second nature. And it's just so cool to hear these stories, because it's fun to have these studies come out the last 5 or so years, where finally people are realizing, like, for all of our lives, we've got, people with ADHD that have just been told they'll never amount to a thing because of what their report card says.
Yeah.
Or their IQ test.
Yeah. Now, the other one of mine I mentioned is obsessiveness.
Right.
Well, you know what? After I was in business 20 years, I ended up with 2 tractors, but at 3:00, I have to go and work on my farm. I like to.
Right.
But if there's any chance of sleeping that night, I got to leave work and let her be and start something to relax and starting to, so I've had to learn skills, because otherwise it can, to an nth degree, it can be bipolar or something where you're just,
Right.
So, but the point is everybody's got their gifts and talents.
100%.
And they can be molded and
Right.
changed.
Well, and I think that so many people can learn from that, especially nowadays. I feel like we hear the word entitlement a lot recently, and it's like, how many kids out there would be willing to just go and get their foot in the door any way they could, even if it was for free? It's almost like there's an expectation, and you will never, ever, if you can learn to sell something, or if you can learn to walk into the hospital and be a pink lady, if your pride will allow you to do that, you are going to go so much further than anybody else.
And I speak to students that one of the biggest problems in entrepreneurship, I go, if you're a perfectionist,
Right.
That's a problem.
For sure.
Paralysis by analysis, by, never testing it, and,
Meetings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Meetings.
Yeah, no.
That's all I think about when I hear that. And knocking doors on your mission.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. You can do better.
Hey, speaking of, we're in Provo, so it's pretty good plot to throw in some mission.
Right.
How about this little strategy? So I'm in Alaska, British Columbia. Our mission stretches like here to New York.
Wow.
And so I'm in charge of setting up this traveling display, because I chat. And you didn't know that. But anyway, I set up this display where we're in a van. And we're going to travel from Vancouver, British Columbia, all the way up British Columbia, all the way over to the Prince Rupert, catch a ferry, go up to Anchorage, go out to Kodiak Island. It's going to take 4 months.
Holy crap.
The Lord actually. That sounds so fun.
It sounds
The Lord,
so
the
fun.
Lord has his strategy.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand my companion.
Oh.
And he said he was great. He was better than me. But I think on the Alaska highway for 3 days we said 3 sentences.
Right.
It had been too fun. I can see where Cam's going.
Yep.
That would have been far too fun. But here's what I did. This is my mission president still alive. So I set this up. I told all the missionaries are spread out. I go, we'll be in your town on this day. And then 2 more days later, we'll be here. We don't want to impact the elders and take their food and their lodging because they don't have any.
Right.
So if you'd set us up at a member's house, every third day on the trip, I got like a turkey dinner. I got a nice bed set up. I got it. Anyway, see, it's common sense to me. I don't want to impact those poor elders.
Oh, that's so good. So now you're living in this rental.
I'm a failure now.
In your mind, you're a failure. You just apologized to your wife.
Yep.
Told her that she married a loser.
Yep.
Where do you go from there? Obviously, I can tell your brain doesn't stop. So it's not, at any point.
Thinking for 3 days. Then I'm done.
Okay.
Now move on.
So you 3 days where you allowed yourself to kind of feel sorry for yourself.
Yep. Why does this happen to me? I pay my tithing. Why does this happen to me?
Yeah. Then what?
So then I go back to start selling some real estate for somebody else.
Okay.
And
you're going to rebuild. That's the idea.
I got bored of real estate. I didn't love it, that part of it.
Did you get bored before everything happened?
Yeah, and that's why I got the real estate construction development. I liked selling houses for a while, but then I got tired of that and liked my business.
Okay.
So now I'm back selling real estate to make some money while I figure this out. Long story shorter, I hope, is I knew one of the things I teach students is talk is cheap. I'll use whatever religion they are, but even Muslims, I say, hey, the Old Testament, but by their fruits ye shall know them. I don't go by a lot of talk. And on my mission, there was a guy named Gary Deaton. And we got to be good friends, and he blew me away with what he produced. Diligence, hard work, passionate, very organized. A little opposite of me. Very just, we're both passionate in sales and different things, but he had gifts I didn't have, and I have a few that maybe he didn't have. He had a little more stability. He worked for AT&T and was really growing up fast. And he goes, Don, I'm headed to New York, I'm sure, with AT&T. I don't want to move. So let's do something together. I go, your buddy just had a failure. I'm a loser. You got a big job. And he goes, I know. My dad says I'm an idiot for leaving corporate and go being in business, and doing something. But
so you guys stayed in touch?
We stayed in close touch all that time.
That's almost 10 years
10
after.
years. Yep. Good friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Good friends, stayed in touch, and not a lot, but pretty much.
Yeah.
But he would just say, no, he always would say, I kind of want to go in business with you. And so finally it's too long of a story. I'm going to cut that little part out. But we talked to students, at BYU, UVU, everywhere. We talk about MVP, minimum viable product. And so through a process of kind of getting taken advantage of on a multi-level computer deal, we learned that we thought we should get a commission on making dust covers. There was a company making dust covers for computers. It was perfect timing, 1983, the advent of the PC. And someone said, well, why don't you make, this company's making dust covers for computers. Why don't you guys?
How did you get into that space?
Well, I'll tell you a little more of the story then.
Because
I was going to say.
to go from real estate to computer covers.
And it's kind of like Gail Miller's looking over at Larry and going, why are you laughing? He goes, oh man, I just love business. See, I love business.
Right.
I loved the construction, but I loved a profitable business. Well, what happened is I think I've really become a proponent of multi-level sales. I think it's great. I think now we got such problems with retail, big block.
When you say multi-level sales, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean direct sales.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
New Skin.
I mean,
Herbalife.
they kind of, early on, years and years ago, they'd get a pretty good rip. But now I'm going, hey, if on the internet, I have an internet business, but now advertising's so expensive and everything that I'm not opposed to if someone wants to sell something that's that's good,
Right.
then I'm fine with it. That to me, that's the key. Well, I was selling real estate, and Gary had someone in his neighborhood that was selling computer covers for, again, this is generations old, Commodore and Atari, and little home computers. And he was selling dust covers. I had an in for Texas Instruments, so I got the royalty. Long story short, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to, if anybody's kids but I felt we kind of got screwed on a commission deal. So we go, well, can't we make dust covers? Me and Gary? He hadn't left his job. So we go to a fabric shop. I mean, we're so brilliant. I mean, isn't that brilliant?
It's very brilliant.
We walk through there. All of a sudden we see vinyl. You seen the scripture totes? We got into that. We made a ton of those, by the way. But anyway, we got into those dust covers. We went to LA, Intex Plastics. We saw inside, it said Intex Plastics. We're the manufacturer, went there. Guy comes out, Don Garrison, an older man, says, and Gary's on a vacation day. I've driven down in this old Cadillac, and we're in there, and Don Garrison, this old man, comes out and again teaches me, be nice to people. This Don Garrison was so nice to us. Here we walk in, we go, hey, we want to make dust covers. Well, we're in a big manufacturing plant for Intex Plastics. They only want to deal with people that are going to buy $100,000 worth of stuff. We're going, we want to make dust covers. He goes, who's going to sew them? We go, we don't know. He goes, okay, I like you too. I'm going to take you down to Lee's Wrapping, a Korean friend, and we'll go in there, and he sews for everybody, Strolley car seats, Fenwick fishing poles. We go in, long story short, Lee likes us and says, I'll make you dust covers. You got a pattern? No. Well, let's go over to an Apple store. We go over there, Macintosh, and we get these big, heavy dust covers, and we make them. Long story short, so then we have the sample. So then I just want to teach along the way, is MVP. We package it up. It's cheap. We know what it'll take to make in volume, so we can figure out our margins. I'm good in budgeting. So that part kind of came naturally. So we figured it out. We could make them for $2, ship them over the weekends from LA, our covers. But anyway, we made a few small samples of the Macintosh. We go into 3 Apple stores in Salt Lake and said, listen, we want you we want these give you for free, like working for free.
Right.
They're free. We're going to give you 15 of them. But we'd like you to sell them for $10. If they go well, we'll sell them to you in the future for $5. We can make them for $2, and we got the margins. It's great, no problem. They sold well at all 3. We go on hot dog, minimum viable product. We got proof of an opportunity. It's not totally innovative. It's kind of copy. It's kind of an angle. I teach students, if you're an innovator, then go be an innovator. I don't see that as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are opportunists. And then have a little angle. Fair enough?
Yep.
For sure.
So they sold well. So that's when I went home and said, honey, Peggy, how would you like to leave Utah in the wintertime? We buy a new motorhome.
I love how he's always selling in the wintertime.
Hey!
You have to throw that in there, right?
Oh, hey, it wasn't just, Cam, it wasn't just winter. It was
Right.
Geneva, and it's fog.
Yeah.
And you can't see. And anyway, I said, hey, we get out of this rental, we get a brand new motorhome, 34-foot south wind, don't have a Mercedes anymore, and it was a diesel. And we'll put this little Subaru behind it, and we'll put the 4 kids in the motorhome, and we're going to go to Arizona. Then we're going to go to California. I'm going to set you up behind a church. You teach the kids school in the morning and let them go in the big wheel in the afternoon.
Are you guys still married?
Hey, she's pretty happy right now, pal.
She's a saint.
She's a saint.
Any woman married to people like us are saints.
She is a saint. She is heavenly. She's totally different than me. She's an introvert.
Right.
She's very quiet. She'll often say, there are lots of times I wonder how we did get married and how I do this, but no, I really love you and you're great and we have 7 kids and it's great. Yeah. So we go to, first night in Page, blizzard. I'm there next to Zion's Bank and it's like the heater's going and we're stuck there.
So you left to sell these dust covers.
In the middle of winter. I'm loaded up with dust covers. Gary Deaton, oh, that's a good story. He's at AT&T.
Still?
Yeah. No. But he keeps putting it off. He's got a secure job.
Right.
He's making $70,000 a year 40 years ago.
Sheesh.
He was killing it.
Yeah.
And finally I said, I'm starting this business without you because you're not leaving. He goes, no, I'm leaving. Come up today at noon. So I go up to the AT&T office at noon and I'm sitting there. He comes out. He looks white as a ghost. And he goes, I did it. And I go, you didn't. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Anyway, Gary is amazing. Have we still got more time?
We got all the
much
time in
as
the world.
you want.
Oh, brother.
I'm just trying to fix the air conditioning right now because it won't turn off. And if I'm starting to get a slight chill, then it's cold.
Well, at least we're having fun. I'm sure everybody else has probably turned it off. Probably the young ladies. I don't know. Anyway, but listen to this wife of mine. Come on, hang in there. That's what it is. It's for you women that aren't entrepreneurs that hang in with ADD entrepreneurs. So anyway, I go to Arizona, set her up behind a church, and that I'm so lucky on the channels of distribution for computers because it's no big chains. It's hundreds of computer lands, business lands, little dealers. And so I can just go into them, and most of them I try to close the sale. If not, I'll give them on a guaranteed sell because I know they'll sell. And so we're going through. We go to San Clemente. We set them up in the park there. That was better than the church. And then go up to San Francisco. And all of a sudden, my partner calls, and he is a top 18 person, and he goes in, and he's making patterns to send to Lee. And then he's operations. He's answering the phone, payables, receivables. We got a couple of wonderful gals that are working for us, but we're just in a dinky hole. And he's getting the product made, and I'm out selling it. And then he calls me one day on the road and goes, hey, I was in measuring a Mac, and did you see that little, they call it a mouse. Did you see the little mouse on a pad? And I go, yeah, I've seen that. And he goes, well, how hard can it be to make those? Now, we didn't have the internet back those days. We barely had cars, And did have a nice motorhome, though. So we didn't have the internet. So we go to the library and we look up rubber companies because what does the old mouse mat, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Just like the little square
piece of rubber.
Yeah, a piece of rubber.
Yeah.
Looks like scuba gear.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
So we look up. Yeah. We find out there's a company called Grondike in New York. Makes all sorts of rubber. We call them up. We go, hey.
How did you find that? To your point, you can't just jump on Google. Like a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I went to the University of Google. Like, how did you find these people in New York?
Well, obviously I can't read. But my partner is really bright. He's really detailed. So, no, it was, I can't remember. It's too many years. But scuba gear, you just can kind of like we did on the fabric. But we got, I think somehow there was these massive 30 books in a library. I forgot what they're called. And it was kind of our internet where you could find out where rubber companies were. You find out it's rubber. And so we called up and got Grondike, and they said, well, we make all sorts. And we told them what we wanted and sent them samples. They sent it out to us. And we go, well, it's going to be a little hard cutting these out with scissors. We find out a die cutting machine's $150,000. We could go on a shoestring because we subbed out everything.
Right.
And strategic partners. And it worked great. I still believe in it. Well, Belter Steel Rule in Salt Lake says we can cut them out for 12 cents a piece. So the rolls get sent to them. Then we sent it out to the customer. And it just started the mouse mats is what really blew up. there's probably 1,000 companies in the world that make mouse mats. We're the second ever to do it. Mousetrax was the first out of San Francisco, and somehow they made a big, heavy one. We've probably have the greatest partners, product developers and everything, but we're the second company, but we own it. I mean, we probably 80 million mouse mats. So if you go into most stores today, and of every
You invented
type,
the mouse pad.
we did not invent the mouse pad. We copied. They didn't have a patent on it,
Right.
and we copied. Now,
To your point about innovators
Yeah.
and entrepreneurs.
yeah,
You don't have to be the first
Yeah,
to
it
the
is
market.
innovating. I mean, they still did it their own way, and they realized it wasn't patented. So it's like,
Yeah,
that's opportunity.
I kind of view as a spectrum, a little bit like or on a copy, super invention, and then I like to stay in this angle,
Right.
something that someone's already done, and then you make it a little better. I kind of think it's the American way.
Well, isn't that really what invention? I mean, not every invention is completely,
No,
why can't I think of the term? Reinventing the wheel,
yeah,
right? It's just making it better, or
That-
using a better
yeah.
material, or
yeah. If you have a patent,
improving on it.
if you have a patent, fine,
Right.
but that's great. But if you don't, and you just say, how can I do this a little bit better than,
Right.
than the last
So you
person?
left to sell dust guards. And
Dust
then
covers.
Dust covers. And shortly into the trip, discovered the idea about creating the mouse pad. So did you stop doing the dust covers altogether and just focus on the mouse pads?
No. We became then a computer accessory company.
Okay.
So we started to mouse mats would be the flagship, and then we got into some laptop cases, not heavy. Targus kind of owned that market, but keyboard skins, document holders, all sorts of computer accessories. So we became a pretty good market manufacturer for computer accessories and continued that on for
How
30
long were
years.
you on the road?
I was only on the road, again, teach students, ideally start in a market that's in its infancy. I'll show you how that's completely opposite to my best business. But I was on the road about 3 months because I learned there was something called trade shows. I didn't know what a trade show
A little more efficient.
Yeah.
a little more efficient,
Right.
and independent reps that would not charge a salary but work on commission. So my wife, when we came back through Utah 2 to 3 months later, I said, we're not going east. We have a better way to sell. And she was actually very disappointed.
Really?
Yeah. She was loving
She
it.
liked being on the road, huh?
Yeah, she loved it.
Interesting.
Yeah. We were having a great
With
time.
4 kids?
Yeah, 4 kids.
What were their ages when you did that?
Oh, they were probably 8 to 2 or something.
Good
but
night.
but listen, just last night I was telling friends of Sue and I was saying we would be going down the freeway at night, and it's 10 o'clock and I'm driving. My wife's doing not yoga. What do you call the
Aerobics?
aerobics in the middle of the motorhome.
Jane Fonda
Little,
tape.
yeah, little leotards look pretty good to me. In the rear view mirror. She doesn't listen to my radio stuff, so I'm okay. But the 4 kids, I'm not kidding you. They are in the back. The door's shut. They're asleep. And I constantly are telling her, you go check. Did they go out the window? I mean, you go, where are they? Because they're active and they're goers. They're probably more like 6 to, whatever.
Right.
And so, but it was I got pictures of it. It was cool.
Holy cow.
Wow.
That's wild.
Wild. See, you wonder how much the internet has hurt us as well. I mean, it's obviously helped us more than it's hurt us, but stuff like that,
Taking out some of the hustle.
even going to the library to look up the businesses, like nothing is easy, but isn't that a kind of a blessing, because you really have to work for it. And that does give you a way to kind of, helps the cream rise to the top, like who's willing to do it. And now it's just so easy. I mean, it's different with every era, but
Yeah, Cam, what I teach is when we have students in entrepreneurship, it's like, okay, how are we going to make $1 million, Don? You're going to make me $1 million tomorrow. And I was up teaching at BYU at the .com, where finally they would say to me and some of the other professors, the guys that were teaching, I only teach 1 day a week up there, or one class from work because I had my own business.
Do you realize how funny it is that you teach? Have you ever thought about that? Like, I love it.
You know what?
I love it.
You know what? That's, again, because we're in Provo. I know this is worldwide, but because we're in Provo, my patriarchal blessing says I will have a high academic education.
Wow.
Now, I'm a loser because I ain't ever going to have a high academic education. In reality now, at 68 years old, I've been in the classroom. I finally got a degree. I tell these stories.
You gotta watch the
and then
YouTube version of this, people.
Hey, I tell these stories, but then I forget where I was going. So help me out here.
Right.
But now where was I going to go over here, though?
You were teaching.
Being a teacher.
I know I was a teacher. Oh, so anyway, I'm going, well, I know where I was going. It took me, what's the easiest, come on, what is the easiest degree at BYU to get?
Was it communications?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got one easier than that. No kidding.
Basket weaving.
No, remember I was going to be a hospital administrator. So I told the college, I told my wife, hey, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. I need business, and I liked a little business, industrial relations, organizational behaviors. I made my own course up, and they let me go for it.
Hold on.
Of course
Is
they
that
did.
real?
Huh?
Is that real?
It's real.
You made your own major.
Yeah. And it's the worst major you could ever hear, university studies. and I was 16 credits. My younger brother, they're all smarties, okay? They're all real smarties. My younger brother, 8 years younger than me. All of a sudden, I haven't graduated, and he's graduating in business at BYU this coming next time. I have to hurry and finish. The only way I can hurry and finish, I got 16 more hours to do. That's totally legitimate. But I go, hey, give me credit for working at the hospital and doing all this other stuff. So I got 16 hours of credit. And I graduated. I graduated in the morning. The little brother, 8 years younger, graduated in the afternoon. I beat him.
This sounds like my senior year of high school. The amount of wheeling and
Sounds like
dealing
my
I did with
education in
counselors
general.
and changing classes and getting people to stay after so I could make all this stuff up and graduate. I found out I was graduating high school at 3 p.m. on graduation day.
Yeah.
And that capped off a 6-month cleaning bathrooms in the morning, like all these anyway, but you forget like that. There's such a lesson in that. You know what I mean? And it's just communication.
Yeah.
People want to help you. You just have to go and talk to them.
Yeah, exactly.
That is such a cool story. Oh my God.
So all of a sudden I'm looking, the last 4 years, I was one class a week at BYU for 8 years while I had my business. And usually what I do is come in like you guys. I'd have an entrepreneur come in, and then I'd interview and make sure they're connecting with the students. So I've learned a ton from these guys. Then I go down to UVU. They don't have a program, and Norm Wright's awesome, dean at the business school, and I'm volunteering there for 2 days a week. Have a great time there. But then I want to live in St. George in the winter. And so then I go down to Dixie.
You still owed your wife from saying, let's get out of wintertime.
Yeah, but
Get in the motorhome.
But now I got all the kids that live in Alpine area,
Right.
the grandkids. She's not all that excited, but I go, look, I got to give back. I got to help. So anyway, I teach with 2 awesome professors, young guys that have their own businesses. We want experiential learning, right? Enough of this. Even BYU is saying we've got to move to more experiential learning. So our entrepreneurial course is all about building a business and a pitch. But what I'm kind of tough on the students with, and back to our in the bootstrapping or into the trenches and learning, not get rich quick,
Right.
is I'm going, they're coming up with me and they have to kind of get past me on their idea. And I did this kind of mean for a while. At VU, they'd come in with all their ideas, and I'd put out my jar of dimes, and I go, good, take one. They're a dime a dozen. I think I was the first person to get fired as a volunteer. No, I got rid of that after a while because it was a little mean. But it's kind of true, right? Ideas are a dime a dozen, right? It's all in the diligence.
It's all in the execution.
All in the execution.
Yep.
And so down at Dixie, I'm pretty hard on saying, number one, this isn't about your idea. This is about the customer pocketbook. That's what it is. It's not about you. And because I have I have someone close to me that's a design engineer, and that's all they do is design things and go, wow. And I go, good. Tell me what the customer said.
Right.
Well, they'll love it. I go, well,
they'll love it.
Prove it to me. But anyway, what I do is I go, if you've got a fabulous idea, that's great. Save it. Not for this class. I want you to have an idea that you can execute. If it's car detailing, if it's window washing, if it's a new way to copy a business in Salt Lake that you can do, I want you doing it because then you'll learn through the process. If you come up with the latest app that's cool, but you don't have any resources to do it,
right,
you're not going to learn much from the course. So it's a very, so I just think that in the trenches, if I learned what I learned in real estate, prepared me to tackle whatever problems I can come up with. If I can't figure it out myself, then most of the people, again, my brother would say, again, he's not that smart, but somehow he finds the opportunity and then somehow he motivates people to come and help with that problem.
Wow. So we kind of skipped over some of the success that you've had. I know you probably don't like talking about it, but...
Oh, I do. I'm killer. No, I'm teasing.
But
I've got some dandy failures. You haven't heard a few. I could give you a few more.
Everyone's got a ton of those, right? But you get home, you start having some success selling the mouse tracks, the dust, all of this kind of stuff. So what did that business grow into? How long did that business last?
Sure.
Did you transition to, because you keep talking about you've been running other businesses. Did you transition to others, or did you run that, sell it, get out and be done?
Thank you, Andrew. So at that point in time, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't care about making a ton of money. I wanted at first to make $3,000 a month. And then we just kept working harder and harder and having more success, always running scared, always a little worried. We go, how? Mouse mats, that's going to last 5 years. Lasted 30.
Right.
But I got to tell you a failure on the mouse mat.
Okay.
So we got all these accessories. We're growing at 15, 20% a year, have more and more great people, more diversified. We're just doing great. It's great. And matter of fact, now I've got another big, houseboat. Pretty big. Pretty big boat. Alan Ashton's one of my partners on the boat. Hobnobbing a little bit. Alan, though, what great mentors. Just humble and teachable and no arrogance at all.
Real quick, how did you find your mentors? Because I think that's one of the things people always want, and I think it's probably the hardest thing to do, or at least people go about it the wrong way. I'll never forget, we had a guest, Richie Norton, said, never tell someone you want to pick their brain because that's what zombies do. He's like, don't call somebody up and say,
that's brilliant.
Hey, I want to pick your brain. Like, what value are you creating for that person? So I think so many people are just like, oh, if I ask them for time, they're successful. They should just give me their time, right? And so I think it's really important to find a mentor, because I've had a handful that have been like life-changing, and they'll change the direction that you go. But I think it's harder to find than people, especially kids now. I don't think they understand how to do that. And so if you were to give someone an advice on how to find a mentor, what would you tell them?
I probably would say, I'd first say a little bit, I'm kind of the boot camp guy. What's that guy called that's running the boot camp? I don't know. The sergeant. So I'm a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Drill sergeant.
Drill sergeant.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm a
right.
little
Okay.
bit like, I don't want you wasting that mentor's time if you're not serious.
Yeah.
So what are you serious about? I tell the students I'm a generalist. That means people in business will come to me often, or students will, and say, I got this problem. And then, but students, I'll say, I'm a generalist. So I'll say generally, okay, for example, Don, hey, I want to start a restaurant business. Okay, I'm the qualifier to get to CAM. So I go, okay, show me what you're doing, what experience you have. You work for anyone? No. Why don't you go work for someone before we get you with CAM? or I can get you to CAM. But a lot of mentors, either I find aren't going to give the time. They're too busy, which is not nice, or pay dividends, as I'll tell you in a minute. Or the mentor isn't experienced, the person with experience. And so it's a challenge. So what I do pretty good at is pre-qualify them. And then I'll go, now, let's see if I can talk to Cam and say, you've done this, this, and this. Now I think you're ready for him. That way, both are having a good experience. We'll get college people that come in and say, "Hey, I'm alumni. I'm older. I want to be a part of this." And I tell them it's not that easy. You got to stay relevant, and so it's not easy. So I didn't answer you very well, but I just think in my case, I was diligent. In my case, early on, one of our mentors was Lou Coford. Lou Coford owned Covenant Recording and what Bookcraft later bought or whatever, and that did very well and sold it. But we'd go to him because that was up our alley.
Yeah.
That was an expert in our alley. But I'm always I like people, and I'm fascinated by people. And if they're a good business person, I like business. So yeah. I don't know. I didn't answer that very good. Sorry.
Nope, that's good. I mean, I think one of it is just like the authenticity and being genuine, right? Like genuinely liking people. Yeah. I think people can feel like you're not, how do you say it? Even though you were just showing up and asking for help, they didn't ever felt like you were just trying to take.
I feel people actively want to help people that they see are putting in the work.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
For sure. I agree.
You know what I mean? Like you're working your butt off. Like my mentor in Texas, the guy who kind of taught me restaurant barbecue. I mean, he called me. Like I never really reached out. I never reached out to him for a job, or he just liked me and saw that I was hustling and wanted to help me out.
We got to nail that.
What's that?
I just want to add emphasis to what you just said. So I'll tell the students, I don't care what you're doing. You do it good until you decide to do something else. Because I've invested with some kids down there. I help kids get jobs, but it's the cream of the crop that are out there being diligent and going after it.
Yeah.
And so with you, that's what you see, right?
Right.
Sure.
It's not a lot of talk. It's diligence. But I think...
Yeah, no, you're right.
And
everyone says they want it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants the big houseboat, right?
Yeah.
But very few people want to put in the work or the time or the hustle to get to it.
And I will throw in here that failures... Rick Farr and Eric Farr, he's now at BYU. Rick Farr was a mentor of mine. He gave me the best statement I've ever heard, really. He said, and he taught this at BYU, but he said, success is overrated and so is failure.
Huh. That's so good.
That's so powerful for me. When I lost the business, no one wanted to ever have me on a radio show or a podcast or anything. Nobody wanted, and I don't blame them. I'm quite successful now.
Right.
And now, hey, let's listen to him.
Right.
But a lot of my lessons were what I learned as failures.
Oh.
And my debt. I don't have debt. I go, I don't care about money. I just want peace of mind.
Yeah. That reminded me of a quote from Winston Churchill that said, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a warehouse guy come in to me once, and great guy, very loyal fellow, and he and a couple other people came in, they go, we got a problem. And I go, what's the problem? He goes, we just caused a $70,000 error. Now this day and age, I guess that's nothing for anybody, but that was a lot of money to us. And I said, okay, there's 4 of us here. Who would have known about that? Nobody? I wouldn't have either. Okay. Don't do it again.
Right.
Don't do it again.
Right.
See ya.
So true.
Have
It's
to
awesome.
learn. You
Well,
have to learn
I
the hard
hope
way
God
sometimes.
works the same way. I mean, and I do it again, but I still keep. There's hope.
Yeah. And so as you got to the point, so you're successful, you had the houseboat. What happened? Like, how did this continue?
Well, let me jump about 20 years.
Okay.
We're very diversified. We're making good money. So
Just one single business with you and Gary still?
Yep, just one.
Okay.
I'm investing in real estate, but
Sure.
this time in cash.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not
No
leveraging.
leverage.
Not leveraging. I'm just buying some cash. I built a small home in Alpine. Said I wouldn't build another bigger home till I paid cash.
Yep.
So I bought a farmland next to it, and then I don't know if anybody's ever been to the Alpine Nativity. That's my farm.
Yep.
But I bought the land. Then later we were able to build a home, cash. And I got some young entrepreneurs, I call them, that came into the business, and they're going, let's grow, let's do this. Or like the .com, era, the students at BYU are saying, Don, we don't have to be profitable to make a ton of money. People are paying us for our ideas. And I remember for a year or two just being sick going, they're not going to learn. Too bad if they all of a sudden get a ton of money.
Right.
That's sad. That process of why we're here on earth and everything, that growth. So I forgot what I was making that point for. But anyway, after about 20 years, I would go to Bonneville Equipment up on the freeway. And I have a farm. And there was a fellow about 18 years old called Chris Anderson. And Chris was a go-getter. He sold me a tractor, and then a couple of years later sold me another one. But he had a 180 IQ. So,
Sheesh.
yeah, photographic memory. I think he's the only person ever graduate from Westminster College, putting himself through mostly scholarships. Perfect 4.0 in economics. But this guy, listen what kind of salesperson. You'd say, oh, he's a nerd. He wasn't a nerd. I'd go in there, and he'd exceed my expectations. And then, when we're done, he'd say, how's Matt doing? How's Mark doing? How's Jordy doing? I go, I don't even remember my kid's name. And he's going, he's just so personable. So after about 8 years, he goes, Don, can we go out back and I ask you a question? I have a chance to go to Stanford MBA school or start my own business. I'd like to buy this business. I go, I'll go in with you. We couldn't do a deal. We couldn't negotiate the deal. He goes, well, I'll go to work for you. I go, I really don't have anything for you. I have a national sales manager, Glenn Tanner, has been with me 15 years. We have lots of independent reps. I don't have this big sales force, And he goes, Don, pay me a salary for a year, and then I'll work straight commission. You have a product that's called a sticky pad. It's no adhesive, no magnet. Sticks on your dash, and your cell phone sticks on it. That was one of our patented products. Alan Wheatley, brilliant. Alan Wheatley, I have brilliant product developers. And, before I go on to the sticky pad, I got to tell you another arrogant story of failure. I like those better. The kids like mine. Everybody likes mine more because of the failures, not because of my successes, because they think I was just lucky, which is true. So remember Sticky Pad? Hey, we remember Sticky Pad?
Yeah,
Thanks.
of course.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll remember too? Okay.
Everybody used them in their car dashes.
So,
with their
remember-
cell
remember-
phones
hey,
on
Bring it
their-
back to it.
Hey, remember the houseboat? I didn't have a Speedo on, but I'm down the houseboat, enjoying life and everything. Company's going great. Yeah, we're running a little scared. Big company Fellows. You heard of Fellows with the you go into Staples, the yellow boxes with the shredders and all that stuff. Big accessory company. They're huge. This was early on. We were probably 8 years in the business. Well, we made mouse mats for them too. So we not only made them for ourselves, we private labeled to everybody. Right. Well, they came to us and said, hey, we'll buy you. We go, great. Terrific. They go, $6 million. $6 million. $3 million a piece. Got to pay a little tax. Hey, that's a deal. It didn't work. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And a lot more tithing came because of that too, to you too. So anyway, thank you, Lord. But this is great for the students. I love this for the students. So they don't get to buy us. I think what they did, and it could be embellished, I don't think so. They went out and got their top MBA students, put them in a room and said, we want you to beat American Covers handstands with mouse mats. Kind of like got to get a job as an orderly at the hospital. Right. So they get in a room and here I'm down in Lake Powell. They come up with an idea that kicked our butts. They go, no one's put any we put low company logos on mouse mats.
Right.
But we never thought about putting licensing on mouse lights like Disney. Mm-hmm. Disney? Mickey Mouse? Mouse mats?
Cindy Crawford? Oh, sorry.
No, it wasn't Cindy. We have standards. We didn't even allow beer on lights. So anyway, sure enough, they got the Disney license, and all our customers that loved us like crazy, we're best friends with our customers, said, sorry, we got to bring those in too. Our customers want Disney. So we scrambled. We got Star Wars. We got NBA. We got everything else. But we stayed number one. But that hurt because we were, we were lollygagging a little bit, a little cocky, a little confident. Right. Anyway, back to I remembered it sticky pad because I told you sticky pad 4 times.
I wrote it down.
Okay, thank you.
Chris Anderson sticky pad.
Yeah. So Chris says, you know what? We got sticky pads. We're in computer accessories. Why aren't those sticky pads in automotive stores? I said, because you can't sell one product into an automotive store. They have hundreds of vendors, each having hundreds of products. Only way we could do it is sell it to someone else to sell. And he goes, give me a salary for a year, and then I'll go straight commission. So I go to my 2 partners. They go, no way. We don't need him. I go, we need him. Okay, fine. You got a little uptight about this, Don? We don't want to deal with that. We hired him. Within 1 year, he got that sticky pad in all automotive stores. Now, he's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. He's creative. We're down at a trade show in Vegas, computer accessories, and he goes, I'm only getting a commission on the sticky pad. This isn't cutting it. I need something in the automotive industry. He says, I want to do car air fresheners. I go, nope. I've taught for 10 years. That's a mature industry. No, we're not going into that. He goes, come on, Don, we got gel wrist rest. We could take that gel. We could take the sticky pad. I got my brilliant Alan Wheatley designer. He goes, he's right. We can create this new air freshener, the bug that will blow everybody away. They did it. We probably spent $300,000 or $400,000 on it. Takes it to Walmart. Walmart buyers got 5 vendors they're buying from. Tree, Shell, different ones. And each one has about 20 products on the planogram. He takes it in and gives a bunch, and the buyer goes, wow, that's cool. Where's that on the spectrum? That's pretty way over here from any of the platforms that are out there. It's probably halfway in between. Long story short, we get it in there. 3 months later, we do our research. Not selling. It's awesome. Not selling. Chris Anderson's a brilliant young man, terrific salesperson. He goes in, he goes, listen, because now the buyer looks bad to his boss.
Right. Chris
goes in, he goes, I think we're a little ahead of our time, trying to make it sound better. I think it's true, but we try to be very truthful in everything we do. We really do. My dad said, if key to selling is to sell something that sells itself. Diversion. I'll ask young girls in class who wants to be a salesperson, and young boys, and a third of them go, no way. I go, okay, so if your sister had diabetes and I had a cure for it, you probably wouldn't tell her, would you? She goes, sure I would. I go, that's the key to selling. Sell something that sells itself. You're a restaurant. Okay, so anyway, where was I?
The air freshener in Walmart.
Freshener. So Walmart. So he asks, this turned my company from probably a valuation of $120 million to $360 million. This question. And our awesome 200 employees and many partners. By now, I'm kind of stepping out, and I've learned in entrepreneurship, many times entrepreneurs don't know when to get out of the way. I go, well, I'll get out of the way.
I'm really good at getting out of the way.
I'll make more money if I get out of the way because I have limits.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I go, okay, they want to do this air freshener. So he asked the buyer. He said, is there anything that you're unhappy with the air fresheners in your category? The buyer goes, thanks for asking. My buyers are 72% female. I've been telling the vendors to make me female air fresheners and nobody does. He goes, see you later. He comes back into the office. I'm ticked. I'm out $400,000. This isn't selling. And he goes, hold on. Here's what he told me. Are you serious? We made what we did is we went to New York, the best fragrance company in New York, said, what's the latest female fragrances? We took our packaging. We took the platforms that were already there and made that kind of air fresheners so that people would get it. Made the packaging female, made the name female, sent pictures to him right away, virtuals. He goes, you nailed it. We became, in 8 years, the largest car air freshener company in the country.
What?
Thank you, lavender cucumber.
Yep. Refresh your car, Bahama,
Oh my
Driven,
gosh.
all our brands. I don't even use air fresheners. We're the largest air
I
freshener
do.
company.
Coconut all the way for me. Holy crap.
Whoa.
Now, I give credit to my young entrepreneurs. I made sure they had the team. Speaking of which, I'm eccentric. But critical conversations in our society, we can't have them, can we?
Nope.
Not
We have
right
to hate
now.
everybody's guts. I was a mayor for a little while out in Alpine to help out. And I go there, and the first meeting, I'm going, I'm used to being able to be the referee at my company. So nobody's getting personal attack for the stupid ideas. We're interchanging, and we're loving it because nobody has the right idea, but we all come together, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
Right.
But, politics, they don't know that. Oh, you don't agree with me? You hate me, don't you? Or I hate you. I'm just sick of it because I'm telling the students, well, who is it? Right, they wrote the book, Crucial Conversations, a friend of mine,
Oh,
right here in town.
why can't I think of the name?
Yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. But he just comes and teaches our students and goes, you got to be able to disagree without being disagreeable. Doesn't mean you're an idiot, right?
Right.
That right there, that phrase though, is so important.
Yes.
The ability to disagree but not be disagreeable.
Yes.
So simple, but no one does it.
In my first 2 years at Alpine City, I'd come home and I'd go, this stinks. Because if I say something, then, oh, you don't like us. Then all of a sudden we had business people, men and women on the council. We rocked it. We got so much done. And usually it was, it was a group process.
Yep.
Well, anyway, Chris Anderson came back, and we have an incredible team of designers and production people and factories in China and everything. So we came out with the female air fresheners, and like I said, then what happened in about 2014? I'm executive director. I'm letting him run the company.
So would
now.
you say that the air freshener was bigger than the mouse pad?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was the air freshener business. We were probably doing only about 25 million in sales, and air fresheners when we ended about 80 million in sales.
Holy cow.
But then what happened, and luckily if there's anyone that isn't sound asleep, then what happened is in 2014, I had these young entrepreneurs, Chris and Rod Stewart and some other people that they were getting some big time offers. I had made sure they owned stock. I made sure they were well taken care of, so it's kind of hard for them to leave. And they loved the culture. We have a blast. Business has got to be fun. So we're having a good time. But all of a sudden, he's getting big time offers from big companies and to go. And all of a sudden, they're going, can't we start buying some other companies, air freshener companies? I go, no debt for me. I go, sorry. And then I go, you know what? They've brought us to this point. So if they can get an investment banker or investment group to come in and take me and my other couple older partners halfway out, fine. Because now I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. They screw the rest of the company. I'm fine. You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to go out buy. They're going to go borrow money like crud.
Right.
And I go, Lord, I'm not borrowing money anymore. So I step down. They bring in big, I'm on the board, but they bring in a big group out of Florida that they were a great partnership. They had great expertise where we didn't, and they were great mentors to Chris. And then we executed 3 more companies, California, Sense, and a whole bunch, bought 4 more companies. Wow. That's how we came big. Wow. And then in 2016, we sold that company to Energizer Corporation. It sold for about $360 million. It's up public. And you know what? People go, oh, you got 360? I teach the students. I go, you know what? It's possible I sold that company and didn't get a dime if I owed $360 million. Someone has a huge house, huge car, ask how much they owe on them. You know?
Right.
And so that was that. I think I did want to talk just a little bit about charities.
For sure.
I did want to point out that he just answered the mentor question over the last 20 minutes.
He did.
Like right that Chris Anderson story. I mean, right? He sold you tractors. And impressed you.
Right on the head.
And
that's how you
earned your trust. And that's it.
So what is it? So what's funny, he is a walking example of the book, The Go-Giver. I don't know if I'm
100%.
He's Gus. He's the connector.
Yep.
But he lives his law by provide value. And it's not a bad question to ask, does it make money? It's the wrong first question.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But do I not get 10 times the return?
Always.
Not only self. I mean, that's why I do it now. The kids at the end of the day go, you're really old, but we love you. And I love them. And I wouldn't trade anything for this experience I'm having with them. But financially, oh man, I get tenfold back. Wow. I'm at BYU, and then they call me up years ago and say, hey, we got a product that stops sweating. People that suffer from hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating. A chemist up there, a professor, brilliant man, created a substance he could apply 1 night a week after showering and doesn't sweat for a week. It's called Sweat Block. My son-in-law, great hardworking marketing guy. We ended up paying them a royalty, not BYU, but the professor or whatever. And now it's $4 million in sales, Sweat Block. Wow. So, I mean, and
do they sell it by the gallon?
It's amazing. It's actually,
That's crazy.
It was been on Amazon for number 1 or 2 antiperspirant for 8 years, type of thing. Got a call not long ago. Dr. Koyman has invented a major breakthrough for arthritis. Absolutely major. And so I'll pay them a royalty. Now we have it in Walgreens. We're now starting FDA studies on possibly first product ever. Stem cells still out there.
Right.
Mice and rats, if there is cartilage, in mice and rats, this is rebuilding cartilage.
Wow.
And so we're now, Halson, I got these brilliant
I'll sign up for those testing phases if you need it. Yeah. If you need guinea pigs.
Do you have arthritis?
Oh, my knees are just
my gosh.
toast.
Make sure I'll give a bunch to Susie. And absolutely.
That would be amazing.
It's not rheumatoid arthritis. It's osteoarthritis, joints. Right. And so, it's unbelievable. Matter of fact, I got a text. I won't bring it out. But Sherry Young, Steve Young's mom, oh boy, she'll go on TV in a minute if I can get Steve to go, hey, listen to my mom.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't afford that kind of an advertising. But no, she's
she's
80-something years old.
Have you? So I just finished his book like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
And the stories about her getting up in the stands and yelling at people like, she is hilarious.
She is amazing.
Yeah.
She is amazing. But I got a quote 2 weeks from her just saying, if you need any kind of endorsement, you're on. Wow. But anyway, I did want to just touch on Operation Smile.
Okay.
And again, I do want to emphasize when I get up with the students, sometimes I'll get a 3-legged stool, and I stand on the 3-legged stool and I'll say, "It's a wow product. It's got to be good. It's a wow team." And the third one's a lot of luck. I got Josh James that's done it twice now and stuff, but most of us, we're very fortunate in our timing. Don't you guys think?
For sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I went around again, I think.
Well, what's luck? It's when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
So
And
there's a lot of luck, but you have to
fortunate
be ready
timing.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, serendipity, I think Mitt Romney's wife says serendipity, but I think it helps you not to get cocky.
Yep.
And
Well, to
not,
your point, you have to always run scared. Like as soon as you get
Yeah.
comfortable or cocky,
Yeah.
that's when things usually take a turn.
and again, the Lord tells you to go to hell if you got too much pride. So what good is that?
Yep.
Like you
Right.
said, you can't take it with you.
Can't take it with you.
So I've learned from some really good mentors that why wouldn't you? I spend way too much money on myself. There's no question. Okay, that's not an issue. But after you have a little bit of money, what
The
is?
law
I
of
mean,
diminishing
really?
returns. Right?
Yeah. So early on, 30 years ago, Operation Smile, cleft lip, cleft palates, doctors out of Norfolk, Virginia. I was playing pickleball, and not pickleball, that wasn't invented. It was. I love pickleball. I got
It's so
indoor.
fun.
I got an indoor pickleball court.
Oh, it's so
St. George. Come on down. But I'm playing either racket or paddleball or racquetball. And this guy at the locker room goes, "Hey, any chance you'd give my wife $100 for a trip to Philippines?" I go, "What for?" And he goes, "Well, she's a nurse. She gives 2 weeks every year of her 4-week vacation to go to third world countries to operate on kids with cleft lip and palates."
Wow.
And so do doctors. And I go, "Well, I'm starting to make some money. I guess I can give $100. So she had to raise $300, and so she raised it. So all of a sudden I said to my wife, I go, "What better thing is there? 45 minutes, you can change a child's life that's living in a hut that won't come out forever." Because the surgeon's working for free for 2 weeks. Hershey Smiles here in town and different ones. And the nurses are working. So every dime we're giving them, it's like $250. I can change a child's life forever, as if God was coming and giving a miracle. So I called up Norfolk, Virginia, Bill. I didn't talk to Bill and Kathy McGee. They've become good friends, but called up and said, "How can I help in Utah?" They go, "Well, you need to talk to a Greg Kerr." I go, "Oh my gosh, Greg Kerr. I grew up in Centerville, remember in 8th grade? He was my best friend's brother." Sweetest, kindest. I mean, no offense to plastic surgeons. Hey, they have reason to be confident. And obviously they haven't worked on my face. But this guy was sweet, giving brother then, older brother. And I knew it had to be him. So I called up. I said, "Greg, I haven't heard from you for 28 years. I hear you're running Op Smile." He goes, "Don, so great to hear from you. Yeah, I'm doing the surgery. I go on the surgeries and I'm fundraising. You can take over fundraising." So I became the chairman of Op Smile here for about 30 years. Been in the Philippines and different places. I'm bragging like crazy. That's not it. Talk about reward. I was an orderly. I'd be taking the kids back to their parents. I have greens on. They think I operated. And I can't speak the language, so I just go. But there are, but I scrutinize charities like I do businesses. Have you guys heard of Scott Harrison with Charity Water? You got to read that book. It's called it's Charity Water. But anyway, unbelievable story of how he was in nightclubs and everything up to 30, women every night, drugs, bars, run a big casino thing in New York. And then finally his head, he said his head's going crazy. He's going to a neurologist and they're going, "We don't know what's wrong with you." He goes to one of his nightclubs, kicks a bouncer out that was screwing up. That guy's at home. They found out waiting at his house with a gun. He goes up north to Connecticut and goes, "What can I do to change my life 180 degrees?" He leaves all that and joins the good ship Mercy, goes into third world countries. You got to read it. What? Scott Harrison.
Okay.
Charity Water and Thirst. Thirst is the name of the book. You have got to study that one. But anyway, there are so many cool charities. Engage Now Africa, that's one here. I think Steve Young's involved in that
that's
one.
the thing. I mean, it's the principle of like stratospheric success, right? Abundance and scarcity. Like what you find is, what I've personally found is the more successful people are, the more they want to give back because they recognize the luck and how fortunate they are and wanting to, help other people and give back and mentor. Like I think it's such a critical piece of that Like, I don't think you get that lasting success, or at least the fulfillment of it, until you learn to do that side of it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But you can start with nothing. You don't have to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You can help very easily with a whole bunch of different ways.
Like I said, I'm sure I spend too much of myself. But yeah, I mean, I do it selfishly because all of a sudden, a little child, the mother looks at you like, and it's interesting. My last daughter, my youngest daughter, we lost one.
What's her name? Your youngest daughter?
Jasmine. We have two that
I was just testing you.
We adopted two girls at the newborns, and we lost one of them.
Uh-oh.
But another one, the other one, Jasmine, they're on the way to Disneyland. But she called me with her first pregnancy, 12 weeks, gotten not X-ray. What do you
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound.
Yeah.
You young guys know that stuff. Ultrasound. She's crying, and she says, "Dad, my baby, they can tell has a cleft lip and palate, 12 weeks old in the womb." And I'm going, wait a minute. I've been to Brazil. I've been to the Philippines. I've helped. I've done my own grandchild. Wow. And then talk about a tender mercy. And my life's been so many tender mercies and miracles. But I go, oh my heck, Jasmine. Bill and Kathy McGee, the founders of Operation Smile, that does 8,000 surgeries a year throughout the world. I'm meeting them this afternoon at Park City in their son's house. It's an orthopedic surgeon. You're coming with me, you and your husband.
Wow.
I mean, I've had so many tender mercies and miracles. But anyway, you guys have been so kind. You don't even have to play this one ever.
Bull crap.
Yeah, right.
I want to know. We got to get him back in here because there is so much that we haven't unearthed yet. I like how he just sprinkled mayor in there.
There's a lot of stuff he just sprinkled.
Yeah.
Let's sprinkle the mayor, because after 6 years, the second time around, I left after 2 years and quit. And my granddaughter goes, they all like you because the mayor goes to their schools and stuff.
Right.
So they, Grandpa's cool. This little daughter, when I quit, because I wanted to, anyway, there's a story there, yeah, and I shouldn't get in. I got sued for $100,000. Anyway, well, I'm not going there. I get sued again. But I wanted to get to Dixie with the kids, but my granddaughter's sitting there, and she, everyone's kind of hiding behind Grandpa quitting, and she's like 9, and she goes, "Grandpa," and I go, "Yeah, honey." She goes, "You're a quitter." So my kids keep me right grounded.
Well, Don, thank you so much for coming in.
You.
Oh, this is fun. And hopefully we need to have some type of follow-up.
I have a new hero in the ADHD world.
Hey, Knuckles. Well, no, elbows.
Okay, we can do Knuckles. It's okay. Wow. Incredible story.
If Don can do it, you can do it.
That's our phrase.
Seriously. I mean,
it gives a lot of kids that aren't real brainy, really, some hope.
For sure.
Go, hey, just get in there.
Everybody has something to bring to the table.
Yeah, everyone does.
And you can't focus on what you don't have. You got to try to focus on what you do and take advantage of it somehow.
And again, Don, people would say, Don, the people was able to surround himself with, he said, give him credit.
For sure.
But they are the ones who were
absolutely
just brilliant.
And you get out of their way.
And
that's...
Didn't bother me.
Exactly.
Yep.
Wow.
Love
Thanks
it.
for coming.
Thank you so much.